Welcome to Middle Tennessee, where the meteorologists use Ouija boards and chicken feathers to figure out what's going to happen next. 5 days ago when we brought the Charger over here, it was like 6 degrees. Brutal, frigid, Arctic thing coming down. Now we get this warm, balmy air coming up from the Gulf, and it's like 70 degrees. It's gorgeous out. Middle Tennessee, right? So, before we talk about the Charger, I want to bring you guys up to speed on a couple other things that are going on. The first is that I just went and I picked up this 4-liter Jeep motor. So I says, well, now that we have two 98 XJs, and one of them does need a motor, let's build a motor for it. So that's what I've got here. I picked this up. It's a complete core. I paid more than I should have for it, but it had all of the stuff on it, little sensors and stuff like that. So I says, you know what? Let's build this thing. So we're going to do a rebuild on this engine. First we'll take it apart. We're going to autopsy it, figure out what went wrong with it, and then we're going to do a nice straightforward rebuild. For anybody wanting it, it'll be the first rebuild we're not doing that isn't a vintage Mopar. So it'll be a straightforward thing that anybody who's doing an engine themselves at home can follow along with and get something out of. So I'm going to get this mounted up this afternoon, and early next week we'll do an autopsy and go from there. The other thing is I'm working on this 361. So this is the block we welded up the freeze cracks on, and now I'm prepping it to put it together. I just give it a quick hone. So this is going to be one of a few different engines that we're going to be building for our mule car. That 67 Belvedere that's in the backyard at the house. That'll be coming here as soon as the Charger's out. So this is the first of a few different motors we have planned for it, and this is going to be a very mild engine. It's going to be as close to like a stock, slightly modified, you know, small cam, headers, carburetor type of thing that is typical as you could possibly get. So we could test different theories and so on and so forth. So we're going to be putting this together. It's actually, everything in this engine was in really nice condition, except that it sat for a long time with water. So there's all rust spots and stuff like that inside of it. But also what I want to do is I want to do a whole video on the 361, Chrysler's forgotten big block. And there's a whole history behind these things. It's pretty fascinating. So we'll do that soon also. But we're working on the Charger. So I got it up in the air here, and I'm going around the car and assessing exactly what's got to be done with it. So let's start with the bad area first. The car was blasted hard right on the bumper. Right here. It was a direct shot, the bumper mount directly to the frame, and it buckled the frame rail right here. So you see the kink here, and this is all bulged out. This is kinked a little bit. This is all wavy. From here to here is 1 3/4 inches shorter than it started out. And then from here to the back bumper, the measurement on either side is 2 3/4 inches. So this side of the car, this quarter panel right here, is 2 3/4 inches shorter than the other quarter panel. Now, these cars are unique. They're not like the regular Chrysler unibody B-bodies. It looks like a coronet, and the stampings are the same as a coronet. So even the front fenders are different. The stamping itself, the sheet metal, is the same as a coronet, but the framework in the front is completely different because of the way the headlight, the whole grille and the hideaway headlights assembly fits up in there. So the fenders aren't interchangeable with a coronet. The doors are, and the quarter skins are, but the actual unibody section of the car is different because it's a fastback. Now, when Chrysler did the A-body Barracudas, 64 through 66, and they did the fastback, it also has a unique unibody. But what they did was there's a chrome strip that runs across the top here on those cars, and they used a Valiant quarter skin on the fastback unibody. this is actually one piece. On the B bodies, there is no seam here. The actual seam is up here, someplace. It's like right here, where the quarter panel meets the rest of the unibody. Now, what makes these unique is the fact that it has this fold-down rear seat. Now, if you're familiar with Chrysler unibodies, you know that there's always an X-brace that goes between the wheel houses under the package tray. But on this car, there is no package tray and there is no X-brace. So in order to keep the C-pillars stable, they beefed up this section between the wheelhouse and the quarter panel. There's a whole structure up in here that doesn't exist on a regular B-body. If this hit had happened on like a regular coronet, it would have just accordioned this quarter right here, and that would have been the end of it. But instead, it kinked everything because the quarter, the frame rail, the wheelhouse, the roof section over here is all one integral piece, and it doesn't want to give. Now, I had talked to somebody about putting this on a frame straightener at some point, and they were like, you know, it's probably not a good idea because of the way these cars are built. And I noticed, if you come down here, somebody already tried to pull all of this stuff out. Here's, this bracket is ripped off and bent forward like that, or backwards towards the back of the car. The bumper is ripped away from the mount. So somebody already attempted at some point to pull this thing out, and they obviously didn't have much luck. So my plan with this, my tentative plan with this, is to separate the quarter from the frame. So the first move we're going to make is to cut the frame rail straight up right here, right at the kink, and then attempt to raise the back of the frame rail. So here's another thing you have to notice about this. You'll see the droop on the top of the quarter. Okay, well, if you look at the other side, it doesn't have a droop. It's a straight run. So not only is the quarter El Caban this way, but it's also bent down like this. So my first move is going to be to cut this frame rail right here and relieve that stress. Then we're going to cut between the wheelhouse and the frame rail, and then come around to the skin right here at the drop-offs. So you see, here's the frame rail, there's the wheelhouse, and then here's the drop-off. So we're going to liberate the drop-off section from here. And then hopefully with all of that relieved, with it cut across the frame rail and a cut this way, there should be enough give that we'll be able to jack this quarter, this section of the quarter up and pull this out. The good part about all of this is that the car is straight. All of the measurements from the axle center line to the front of the car are on, because the damage is all behind. So the car tracks straight. It's all really just cosmetic damage. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's an adventure. And I guess sometime tomorrow I'll cut into it and we'll cover all of that tomorrow or in the next video. So I just want to give you guys an update on what we found so far, what we're up against with this thing, and I don't want to make it perfect. The goal here is definitely not to make a perfect car. I don't want this thing to where, if a bird poops on it, I freak out, or if it's rainy and it's a dirt road, I don't want to be like, I'm not driving that car. I want this thing to be able to just go out in any condition, like any car, and just have fun with it and not worry about it. I don't want, a pampered princess here. I want a good, reliable, clean, muscle car that's suitable for everyday use and everyday traffic, and you could just leave it in a Walmart parking lot and not think twice about it. So that's the ultimate goal with this car. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for just cool, fun driver. So that's it, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.